Hi, Andy XL back again with another NFXL podcast. Just over a week now, 10 days or so to the start of the NFL season. So, good time to look at some of these divisions. And I'm going to look at this time at the NFC East, the home of the Super Bowl champion Eagles. But will they be as dominant this season? Could the upstart Commanders take their divisional title from them? Can Jerry Jones find a way to get the Cowboys back to the top? And what does 2025 bring for the Giants? How will the Eagles cope with being the team everyone wants to be? That's got to be a question. Can Jalen Daniels take the Commanders to the next level? Will the Cowboys and Giants be a factor even in terms of winning this division? So let's look at the Eagles first of all. Um, and when we look at the Eagles, let's look at free agents. Now, they've lost some really notable ones here. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Mekhi Becton, Zach Bourne has re-signed, but Brandon Graham's retired. So the loss of Graham, Sweat, and Williams in particular from that fearsome defensive line last season has got to hurt them. They will face the challenges that all championship teams face. Firstly, the players that won the title wanted paying, like champions do. And with limited cap space available to them, that led to the loss of Sweat, Williams, and Becton to free agency. The retirement of Brandon Graham also hurts that, as I said, that fearsome pass rushing unit has been severely weakened. Now, those three had a combined 16 and a half sacks and 32 quarterback hits, but they've not found replacements apart from fourth rounder Ty Robinson to pick up that slack, which will likely mean the fearsome pass rush of the Eagles' title winning season will not be anywhere near as strong in defence of that title. Losing Blackton is less of a blow on the O line, and they have made depth additions via free agency to cover that off. Andrew Makuba at safety is a replacement for CJ Gardner Johnson, and Jihad Campbell and Smail Mondon make them strong at inside linebacker. But they look to lack depth at defensive tackle too. So that D line that was a strength last season has got to be a concern ahead of this season, and that has to put in question whether they will be the team everybody has to beat in 2025. But they're probably still favourites to retain this divisional title just because of their defensive strength. I mean, I'm just pulling up their depth chart here while I'm talking to you. So just give me a second. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, yeah, we all know about that. There's there's issues over Landon Dickerson at the moment, which has got to be another concern on the O line. And like I say, I just don't see that D line being anywhere near as strong as it was last season. So, and they've got rookies coming uh, in on the defensive side as well. Now they've had another injury in the secondary, that's going to potentially mess things up a little bit there. Um, so, you know, there's a few question marks over the Eagles. So let's look at the Commanders. Free agent wise, they re signed Bobby Wagner at inside linebacker. They've lost Dante Fowler to Dallas on the edge. Jeremy Shin, the safety, went to Las Vegas. Zach Ertz is back while Benson Juice went to the Chargers from cornerback. If the Commanders are to challenge the Eagles for the divisional title next season, they needed to use the healthy amount of cap space available to bring back the free agents they needed. Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz are 34 now, but they are back. Coming in, Debo Samuel and Michael Gallup bolster the wide receiver core. Laramie Tunsil provides an upgrade at offensive tackle. Dietrich Wise is probably a downgrade from Dante Fowler, though, on the defensive side, meaning adding an edge rusher or two in a draft was a big need they failed to address. Like I say, specifically when you look at the talent they've lost. Will Harris replaces Jeremy Chin at safety, and Jonathan Jones replaces St. Juice at cornerback. Retaining Ertz and Wagner, having another vet in Samuels is indicative of a team wanting to win here and now. And then they've got the recent move with Brian Robinson, where they've shipped him on basically um, to allow. I think they've probably made the decision that they don't really need him and they're going to have to pay him next year. So let's move on now because they don't need him because they've got such a fearsome running presence at quarterback. and they can make, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt has looked really good in pre-season, so they're hoping he'll come through with the likes of just Austin Eckler, and also uh, why is he just slipped my mind? The guy who's going to be a goal line presence potentially, Chris Rodriguez. That's who I was trying to think of. He might be the guy line role. So they're trying to make something fit up running back, but they've definitely got enough there to challenge the Eagles. But can the same be said of the Cowboys? Free agent wise, Ozie Idigizua was re-signed at defensive tackle. Demarcus Lawrence, they lost on the edge to Seattle. A big one here potentially. Zach Martin retired from the O line. Chauncey Golston on the edge went to the Giants. Eric Kendricks, last time I looked, was unsigned, but he certainly wasn't with them. I'm just double checking that. No, he's not. Yeah. Eric Kendricks, they haven't got back at inside linebacker. Running back Rico Dowdle went to Carolina. Brandon Cooks went to New England, and Jordan Lewis cornerback went to Jacksonville. When a team needs to make up ground on two very good teams, seeing 7 free agents walk out the door is not going to help in any way. Now, Dante Fowler's come in to replace Lawrence and Golston. Stats-wise, he was more productive than those two combined last season, but he's one man rather than two, so they're potentially a body light on the edge. Second round pick Donovan Iziraku fills that void though, so they'll need him to pick up some of that slack. They also needed an interior lineman following Zach Martin's retirement, so Tyler Booker is on schedule to fill that hole. And like I say, Eric Kendricks going at inside linebacker leaves a potential weakness there for the Cowboys. Now, in recent years, CD Lamb has had absolutely no support in terms of the wide receiver core. So George Pickens has come in, controversial off field in some of the things he does, but he's come in now, and on field that gives him a decent 1-2 punch now, a very more than decent 1-2 punch at wide receiver. Um, they've taken a shot on a couple of people, running backs whose career were heading in the wrong direction in Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders to replace Rico Dowdle. As I say, both have underwhelmed in recent seasons, so they'll hope those two, at least one or both of those, can start turning their careers round. But you have to be questionable about that. Jaden Blue has come in as by the draft, so he may get more of a shot than a fifth rounder might normally expect to get if those two don't deliver. Yes, they will hope to get improvement from Dak Prescott playing a whole season, but even so, they need to improve their run defense. And the concern at inside linebacker, and the Cowboys may have too much work to do to compete for the division title or make the postseason. And with Prescott as well, the rumblings continue to gather steam. I mean, it's a bit like Kyler Murray in Arizona. The guy needs to start playing really, really well if the Cowboys are going to have a chance of catching the Eagles or Commanders this coming season. So finally, let's have a look at the New York Giants. Excuse me. Wide receiver Darius Slayton was re-signed. Azeez Ojulari, they lost from their defensive line, pass rusher if you like, went to Philadelphia. Guard Greg Van Roten was re-signed, but safety Jason Pinnock went to San Francisco. They were the major free agents they had to deal with. So unlike the Cowboys, the Giants have done okay via free agency, retaining Slayton and Van Roten, whilst Javon Holland has come in to replace Pinnock at safety. They needed to replace Ojulari on the edge, though, and boy, have they done that with Abdul Carter, who will be a huge addition for them in that area. One of the very best players in this draft, one of 4 or 5 elite talents in this draft, and the Giants got him. Great news for them. But probably more important than anything, they needed a quarterback. They've drafted Jackson Dart, and he's done well in pre-season. He may be their man after a possible redshirt season. But for the year to come now, and I've banged on about this for so long, they need to sort their O-line out. And that must be down to make life tolerable for a Giants quarterback. They have to have a decent O-line. and that also will help their ground attack. So when we're talking quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Dart, I've already mentioned Jameis Winston. Now, Dart's outperforming Jameis Winston, so Winston is beginning to be less of a relevant conversation here. But Russell Wilson is. Russell Wilson's going to be the man until he shows he can't be, and then it may actually be Dart that comes in rather than Winston. But Wilson has regressed since leaving Seattle. Um, so not giving him a quality O line to work behind is a dangerous mixture for me, and I don't like the look of it. I also have concerns about how Wilson will stand up to being in the under the microscope, playing in New York. Um, Seattle and Denver, completely different atmospheres, really. Everybody was behind you, whereas certainly in Seattle, whereas in New York, if you don't play well, they're going to let you know about it. And how will Wilson take that? Question. For me, overall, like the Cowboys, they have just too much work to do to contend. And like I said, I'm fearful about that O line and quarterback situation too. The Giants will be one, or if not, the worst teams in the league in 2025. I just have no hopes for them, really. Sorry, but that's the way it is. So to sum up this division, the Eagles have a shot to win the division again, but they're not going to be as good as they were last season. That's what I see. And that means the Commanders can definitely push them really close in this division and may even take it from them. Whilst the Cowboys will hope to get somewhere near 500, and the Giants look forward to maybe getting the first overall pick in the 2026 draft. I think it's just going to be that bad for them. Um, the Eagles and Commanders are two teams from the division capable of making a deep postseason run. The Eagles will need to make some moves in the season to strengthen their roster if they're going to get back to where they were last season. The Commanders, maybe they can start building towards that, but they may need a piece or two as well. But there's enough there. There's a basis there again for them to have a if and when they both make the postseason that they can have a run at it. I see both the Eagles and Commanders making the postseason. I think they're both going to end up in somewhere around the 11 win mark. Dallas, like I say, I think they'll fall just shy of the 500 mark, and that'll see some serious questions asked about a number of players in that environment. And the Giants, I just think they're set for a season of struggle, and a bit like the guy in Miami, their head coach might be looking over his shoulder fairly early in the season in terms of job security. So that's how I see this division. That's 6 divisions down, 2 to go, and I'll crack on with them as soon as I can. See you soon.